I, like most people, never questioned rent. I always thought, New York is expensive, rent is high, it is what it is. Well, to my surprise, I found out otherwise. Over half of New York City tenants pay more than 1/3 of their income to rent and utilities, but they may be paying more than they need to. Some landlords take all sorts of measures to extract more money from tenants, including hiding the fact that their apartment is rent stabilized and increasing rents illegally. My name is Latresa, and I'm a New Yorker. They say after 10 years of living in the city, you can claim the title, and I've been here for 12, so there you go. About a year and a half ago, I found out that I was being overcharged for rent. And what I now believe, after doing my research, was a scheme to illegally deregulate a rent-stabilized apartment. Rent-stabilized apartments occupy buildings that were constructed before 1974 and have more than 6 units. Landlords have the right to raise rents on vacant rent-stabilized apartments and charge additional increase for making improvements within certain guidelines. The winter of 2017 for me was by far the coldest. The radiator in my room wasn't emitting any heat. It took about a month of calls to my building superintendent and to my landlord before the radiator was replaced. The new radiator didn't work either. $2,700 for rent, and wasn't even getting the basic necessity of heat. I went pretty much the entire winter with no heat. On top of that, there were apartment repairs that started to sprout, like black mold around my windowsills. And one morning, I woke up to a figurative rainforest in my kitchen. I was at my wit's end. I began reporting the issues to 311, which fortunately took care of the repairs, but not the heat. So I began withholding my rent in hopes of speaking to a judge about the situation. Through more research of my own, I found out about rent overcharge and DHCR. Tenants may also get a copy of the rent history for their apartment directly from DHCR. Once I received my rent history, I noticed there was a pretty big increase from the previous tenant. The law allows tenants 3 legal options to complain about a possible overcharge in rent. 1, starting a lawsuit either in Supreme Court or in civil court. 2, withholding rent, thereby forcing the landlord to start a non-payment proceeding in housing court, then raising a rent overcharge complaint as a counterclaim. 3, which is highly unfavorable towards the tenant, filing a rent overcharge complaint with DHCR. By this point, my landlord had filed non-payment proceedings with housing court. I didn't know exactly how to go about bringing up the overcharge. I was totally out of my element. I'd never been in front of a judge before, and I definitely never needed to obtain a lawyer for anything. So I sought free legal advice at the courthouse. The attorney took a look at my rent history and agreed that I might have a case, but they didn't have the resources to represent me. She told me to tell the court clerk and the judge that I would like to request discovery because I did not believe I was being properly charged for rent. My request for discovery was granted, but the attorney reiterated that she could not take on my case. She provided me with the contacts for the Legal Aid Society and Mobilization for Justice. After calling the hotline, I finally heard back from an attorney requesting to see some documents. By the grace of God, I had an attorney. I no longer had to fight this battle alone. As my journey continues, here's how you can begin yours.